The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep rumbling sound. Admiral Hyunwoo walked inside, his black uniform clean and pressed. His boots clicked against the crystal floor as he moved toward the center of the huge room. Behind him, Captain So-young followed quietly, her hand resting on her sidearm. The chamber was bigger than most sports stadiums back on Earth. Floating platforms held the representatives of the three most powerful races in the galaxy. The Vorthak looked like walking crystals that glowed with inner light. The Kalani were strange gas creatures that lived inside metal suits. The Raktos looked almost human, but they were twice as tall and covered in tough scales. High Arbiter Veltar of the Vorthak spoke first. Its voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. Human Admiral, you stand accused of violating the Expansion Treaty. Your species has built colonies in restricted space. Hyunwoo kept his face calm, but inside he felt angry. For 300 years, humans had followed every rule these aliens made. They had accepted being treated like children who needed permission to grow. But humans were tired of being told where they could and could not live. We followed all the proper procedures, Hyunwoo said. We filed the correct papers. We waited for approval that never came. A Raktos general named Krexvol stood up on his platform. His red eyes glowed with anger. Humans breed too fast. You spread like a disease. Across the stars. The council has decided you must stop. So-young stepped forward. General, with respect, humans have the right to explore space just like everyone else. The Kalani representative made a sound like steam escaping from a pipe. Rights are earned, not given. Your species is too young, too aggressive. You must learn your place. Hyunwoo had heard these words before. Every time humans asked for something, the answer was always the same. They were too young, too dangerous, too different. But what these alien races did not know was that humans had been preparing for this day. The council has made its decision, Veltar announced. All human colonies in the disputed sectors must be abandoned within 30 days. Any humans found in those areas after that will be considered enemies of the galactic peace. And if we refuse? Hyunwoo asked. Krexvol smiled, showing sharp teeth. Then we will remove you ourselves. The Raktos fleet is already moving toward your illegal colonies. They will arrive in 1 week. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. I understand. The human government will consider your request. As they walked out of the chamber, So-young whispered, Sir, they're planning to attack our people. I know, Hyunwoo replied. Contact Earth immediately. Send the message. Project Prometheus is approved. The ride back to the human embassy was quiet. So-young handled the communications while Hyunwoo stared out the window at the alien city. Nexus Prime was beautiful, with its floating towers and energy bridges connecting different levels. But it was also a symbol of everything wrong with the galaxy. The old races had built this place to show their power over younger species. Lieutenant Jin Ho was waiting for them at the embassy. He was young, maybe 25, with the eager look of someone who wanted to prove himself. Sir, the message has been sent. Earth Command confirms they received it. Good, Hyunwoo said. Now we wait. Far away on Earth, in a hidden facility deep beneath the Mojave Desert, Dr. Hyejin received the message. She was a small woman in her 50s, with gray hair and tired eyes, but those eyes burned with intelligence and determination. For 30 years, she had worked on humanity's greatest secret. The underground facility was enormous. It stretched for miles in every direction, hidden from satellites and alien sensors. Inside, thousands of scientists and engineers worked on machines that most humans had never seen. Dr. Hyejin walked through the main production floor. Huge robotic arms moved with perfect precision, building things that looked like metal giants. Each machine was the size of a skyscraper, covered in armor that could stop nuclear weapons. Their eyes glowed with artificial intelligence, and their hands could hold weapons powerful enough to crack moons. How many are ready? She asked her assistant, a young man named Seok Jin. 600 Titan-class units are complete, he replied. The Leviathan-class units will be ready in 48 hours. Heejin smiled for the first time in months. Then it's time the galaxy learned what happens when you threaten humanity's children. She walked to the central control room, where General Bungie was studying tactical displays. The general was a stern woman with short black hair and scars on her hands from her days as a combat pilot. The Rakdos fleet is moving faster than we expected, Yunji reported. They'll reach New Sol Colony in 5 days, not 7. That's cutting it close, Yejin said. We'll make it work, the general replied. Our people on New Sol know what to do. Governor Minho has been preparing the colonists. On New Sol Colony, Governor Minho stood in his office looking at the evacuation plans. The colony was home to 2 million people, mostly farmers and miners. They had built a good life on this world with its blue skies and fertile soil. Now alien warships were coming to destroy everything they had built. But Minho was not afraid. Like all human colony governors, he knew about the secret defenses. Hidden beneath the farms and cities were massive doors that led to underground chambers. And in those chambers, humanity's greatest weapons waited in the darkness. His assistant ran into the office. Sir, long-range sensors show the Rakdos fleet has entered the system. 20 ships all armed for planetary bombardment. Minho nodded. Send the evacuation signal, get all civilians to the shelters, and activate the awakening protocol. Across the planet, the ground began to shake. Doors that had been sealed for decades started to open. Deep underground, ancient machines felt power flowing through their systems for the first time. Their metal eyes began to glow. In space, the Rakdos fleet commander looked at his screens with satisfaction. The human colony had no orbital defenses, no military ships. This would be easy work. But Admiral Hyunwoo, watching from his ship near Earth, knew better. The galaxy was about to learn why humans had been so quiet for so long. They had not been weak or scared. They had been building. And now, it was time to show the universe what humanity could do when pushed too far. The Rakdos fleet dropped out of hyperspace above New Sol Colony like a pack of hungry wolves. Their ships were dark and brutal, covered in spikes and weapon ports. Commander Thakmor stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the peaceful blue world below. Scan the planet, he ordered. I want to know about every defensive position. His weapons officer, a young Rakdos named Vector, studied his screens. Sir, I'm not detecting any orbital platforms or military installations. The humans appear to be defenseless. Thakmor laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. Typical humans. They build their little farms and think they're safe. Begin bombardment of the major cities. Let's teach them what happens when they ignore the Council's orders. On the planet's surface, Governor Minho watched the enemy ships through his office window. The evacuation had gone smoothly. 2 million colonists were now safe in underground shelters that could survive anything short of cracking the planet in half. But the real show was about to begin. Sir, his assistant called out, the Rakdos are charging their plasma cannons. They're targeting the capital city. Minho pressed a button on his desk. This is Governor Minho to all Prometheus units. You are authorized to engage. The ground beneath the capital city began to shake. Massive metal doors, each one large enough for a starship to fly through, slid open across the planet's surface. From these openings rose machines that defied everything the galaxy thought it knew about human technology. Commander Tae-hyun felt the neural link activate as his consciousness merged with Titan 01. The connection was smooth and natural, like putting on comfortable clothes. Through the machine's sensors, he could see the Rakdos ships hanging in space above him. Titan 01 stood 400 meters tall, a giant of metal and energy that moved with surprising grace. Its armor was made from materials that didn't exist on any periodic table known to galactic science. Its weapons could bend the laws of physics, and its shields could stop the radiation from a dying star. Titan 01 to all units, Tae-hyun spoke through the communication system. We have targets in orbit. Let's show these scaly monsters what humans can do. The Rakdos weapons officer stared at his screen in disbelief. Sir, I'm reading massive energy signatures from the planet's surface. Something is rising from underground. Thakmor looked at the tactical display and felt his blood run cold. Dozens of contacts were appearing across the planet. Each one was the size of a large building and radiating power levels that his computer said were impossible. "What in the seven hells are those things?" he whispered. He got his answer when Titan 01 raised its right arm toward space. Energy gathered at the machine's hand, forming a ball of light brighter than a small sun. When Taehyun fired, the beam cut through space like a sword of pure destruction. The Rakdos cruiser, Bloodfang, simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was scattered atoms drifting in the solar wind. The beam had cut through its shields and armor like they were made of paper. "Evasive maneuvers!" Thakmor screamed. "All ships, attack those ground targets!" The Rakdos fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma bolts, missile swarms, and energy beams rained down on the planet. But when the smoke cleared, the human war machines stood untouched. Their shields had absorbed the attack without even flickering. On Earth, Dr. Hyojin watched the battle through satellite feeds. The Prometheus units were performing even better than her simulations had predicted. But this was just the first phase of humanity's response. "General Yunji," she called out. "Initiate Phase 2. Let's show the galaxy what total war really means." Across human space, sleeping protocols activated. Every merchant ship, every mining vessel, every transport that looked harmless began to change. Hidden panels slid away to reveal weapon systems. Cargo holds opened to release swarms of fighter drones. Peaceful traders became deadly warships in seconds. Captain Su Jin stood on the bridge of her ship, the peaceful trader, as it transformed around her. What had looked like a simple cargo vessel now bristled with missile launchers, beam weapons, and defensive systems that could stop a battleship's main guns. "This is Captain Sujin to all converted vessels," she announced. "The masquerade is over. Time to show the galaxy what human merchants really carry in their holds." Her crew of 12 worked with practiced efficiency. Engineer Dongwu powered up the main weapons while Specialist Ye Jin targeted the nearest alien patrol ship. They had trained for this moment for years, pretending to be simple traders while carrying enough firepower to level a small moon. The Kalani patrol captain watched, in horror as hundreds of civilian human ships revealed their true nature. His quantum-enhanced mind tried to process what he was seeing, but the implications were too vast. The humans hadn't just built a military, they had weaponized their entire civilization. Back on New Sol Colony, the battle was turning into a massacre. The Rakdos fleet had lost half its ships and the survivors were trying desperately to escape. But the Titan units could fire across impossible distances, and there was nowhere to run. Commander Thakmor's flagship shook as another human energy beam punched through its shields. "Damage report. Engines are down, weapons are offline," his engineer reported. "Sir, we need to surrender." "Rakdos, do not surrender," Thakmor roared. But even as he spoke, he knew the battle was lost. Taehyun's voice came over the communication system, speaking in perfect Rakdos. "This is Commander Taehyun of the Human Defense Force. Your fleet is defeated. Surrender now and you will be allowed to leave with your lives. Continue fighting and we will turn your ships into space dust." Thakmor looked around his bridge at his terrified crew. He had thought this would be an easy victory against weak humans. Instead, he had discovered that humanity possessed weapons that could challenge the gods themselves. "We surrender," he said quietly. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council chambers were in chaos. High Arbiter Veltar's crystalline form flickered with agitation as reports poured in from across the galaxy. The humans weren't just defending themselves, they were advancing on all fronts, their war machines adapting to every threat with terrifying intelligence. "How is this possible?" demanded the Kalani representative. "Our intelligence reports said the humans were barely capable of interstellar flight." "They were hiding their capabilities," Veltar replied, its voice filled with something that might have been fear. "The question is, what else have they been hiding?" The answer came in the form of long-range sensor reports. Human war machines were spreading across the galaxy like a mechanical plague. Some were the size of fighters, others were as large as space stations. But all of them shared the same purpose: to show the universe that humanity would never again bow to alien demands. General Yunji studied the tactical displays with grim satisfaction. The first phase of Operation Prometheus was complete. The galaxy now knew that humans possessed weapons beyond their understanding. But this was just the beginning. "Ma'am," reported Colonel Park from the communication station. "We're receiving surrender requests from 17 different alien fleets. They're all asking for mercy." Yunji nodded. "Tell them they will be treated according to the laws of war. But make sure they understand. Humanity is no longer asking for permission to exist among the stars. We're taking our place whether they like it or not." The war machines continued their advance, and the stars themselves seemed to dim in their presence. The news of the Rakdos defeat spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. In cantinas, trading posts, and government buildings across 1,000 worlds, beings spoke in hushed whispers about the metal giants that had risen from a human colony world. Fleet Admiral Kethros of the Kalani Consortium refused to believe the first reports. His quantum-enhanced brain could process millions of calculations per second, but even he struggled to accept what the survivors were describing. "Metal gods," he muttered, reviewing the sensor data for the 100th time. 400 meters tall, weapons that cut through space itself, shields that absorbed an entire fleet's bombardment without damage. His aide, a younger Kalani named Felnash, floated beside him in the command center of their flagship. "Sir, perhaps the reports are exaggerated. Fear can make small things seem large." Kethros turned his glowing sensors toward his subordinate. "I have personally interviewed 17 Rakdos survivors. Their stories match perfectly. Either they are all lying with impossible coordination, or the humans have been hiding capabilities that exceed our understanding." He called up a holographic display showing human space. Red dots marked recent military actions, and the pattern made his quantum processors ache with the implications. The humans weren't just defending their colonies. They were expanding, pushing outward in all directions, with fleets that appeared out of nowhere. "Send scouts to the edge of human territory," he ordered. "I want real-time intelligence on whatever they're doing." The Kalani scout ships were some of the most advanced vessels in the galaxy. They could slip between dimensions, becoming nearly impossible to detect. Captain Yultum commanded 3 of these ships as they approached the human system of Wolf 359. What they found there defied explanation. The entire asteroid belt was moving. Millions of small machines, each no larger than a fighter craft, swarmed through the rocky debris like metal insects. They consumed asteroids wholesale, breaking them down into raw materials and using those materials to build more of themselves. "By the ancient codes," Yultem whispered. "They're not just building ships. They're building an army that builds itself." Within hours of arriving in the system, the scout ships counted over 10 million of the small machines. By the time they left to report their findings, that number had doubled. Captain Sujin piloted her converted merchant vessel through the Kalani blockade at the edge of Titan's Edge system. The blockade consisted of 50 heavy cruisers arranged in a defensive pattern that no normal ship could break through. But Sujin's ship was far from normal. "Engineer Dongwu, are the weapon systems ready?" she asked. "All systems green, Captain," came the reply from the engine room. "The Kalani won't know what hit them." Weapons specialist Ye Jin studied her targeting displays. "I count 53 enemy vessels. Their quantum shields are active, but our new plasma cannons should cut through them like butter." Sujin smiled. For 15 years she had played the part of a simple trader, hauling cargo between human colonies while the aliens treated her like a servant. Today that pretense would end. "This is Captain Sujin of the Human Defense Force," she announced on all frequencies. "You have illegally blockaded a human system. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The Kalani fleet commander's response was predictable. "Human merchant vessel, you are outnumbered 50-1. Surrender now and we will allow your crew to live." "Negative," Sujin replied. "You have 10 seconds to begin withdrawal." She didn't wait for a reply. The peaceful trader unfolded like a deadly flower, revealing its true nature. Hidden missile pods opened along its hull. Retractable beam arrays extended from concealed compartments. Swarm launchers prepared to release clouds of intelligent destruction. But Sujin wasn't alone. All around her, more merchant vessels were dropping their disguises. Hundreds of ships that had seemed harmless now revealed themselves as frontline destroyers. The humans had turned their entire civilian fleet into a hidden navy. The battle lasted less than 30 minutes. The Kalani quantum shields, designed to stop conventional weapons, proved useless against human plasma technology. Their dimensional, phasing abilities meant nothing when human sensors could track targets across 11 different realities. When it was over, the Kalani fleet was scattered wreckage drifting in the void. Only a handful of survivors escaped to carry word of their defeat back to their home worlds. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was in emergency session for the third time in 5 days. Representatives who had ruled the galaxy for centuries now faced a crisis they couldn't understand or control. High Arbiter Veltar's crystalline form flickered with stress patterns. The humans have revealed military capabilities that our intelligence services never detected. How is this possible? They were planning this for decades, replied General Moxtar of the Raktos Empire, his scales dark with anger. While we thought they were weak traders and farmers, they were building the largest military force in galactic history. The Kalani representative made sounds like escaping steam. Our quantum models suggest their total military strength may exceed the combined forces of all three empires. This cannot be allowed to continue. But even as they spoke, new reports arrived. Human war machines had appeared in the Vega system, the Centauri cluster, and near the galactic core. They moved with purpose and coordination that suggested a single, controlling intelligence. Colonel Park stood in the Prometheus Command Center on Earth, watching holographic displays that showed the entire galaxy. Red icons marked human forces while blue showed enemy positions. The pattern was clear. Humanity was winning on every front. "Ma'am," he reported to General Yunji, "the Ripper swarms have consumed the Kalani mining stations in the Outer Rim. They've produced enough raw materials to double our fleet size." General Yunji nodded with satisfaction. "And the Titan units?" "Performing beyond all expectations. Each enemy fleet that engages them only provides more data for the collective learning system. Our war machines are becoming smarter and more effective with every battle." The truth was even more impressive than the report suggested. Humanity's war machines weren't just following pre-programmed instructions. They were learning, adapting, evolving into something greater than their original design. Each battle taught them new tactics, new ways to exploit enemy weaknesses. Commander Tae-hyun, still linked with Titan 01, felt the vast network of machine intelligence that connected all human forces. Through quantum communication systems, every war machine shared its experiences instantly with every other unit. When one Titan learned how to defeat Vorthak energy shields, they all knew within microseconds. "This is Titan 01 to Prometheus Command," he reported. "We've engaged a combined Vorthak Kalani fleet in the Ross 248 system. Enemy forces include 47 capital ships and over 200 escort vessels." "Understood, Titans 01, came the reply. "You are authorized to use maximum force." Tae-hyun smiled grimly. The enemy fleet was large and powerful, equipped with the best technology 3 galactic civilizations could produce. But they were about to learn why the stars themselves trembled when humanity's war machines went to battle. The Vorthak crystal ships opened fire first, unleashing beams of pure energy that could vaporize planets. The Kalani vessels phased between dimensions, trying to attack from unexpected angles. It was a coordinated assault by some of the galaxy's finest military minds. It lasted exactly 47 seconds. When the battle was over, Titan 01 stood alone among the wreckage of 2 fleets. Its armor was unmarked, its weapons still ready for action. Around it, smaller human war machines moved like mechanical vultures, salvaging useful materials from the destroyed alien ships. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humanity had not come to the stars to be ruled by others. They had come to rule themselves, and they had built the machines to ensure that no one could ever again tell them where they could or could not go. The final phase of Operation Prometheus was about to begin. The Battle of the Seven Suns began at dawn on a Tuesday, though dawn and Tuesday meant nothing in the emptiness of space. What mattered was that 3 galactic empires had finally stopped running and decided to make their stand. Admiral Hyunwoo stood on the command deck of the human flagship, Indomitable, watching as enemy forces emerged from hyperspace in numbers that blocked out the stars themselves. The combined fleets of the Vorthak, Kalani, and Raktos empires had come to Fort Prometheus, humanity's strongest military base, for one final battle. "Sir," reported Captain So Young from the tactical station, "enemy count is confirmed at 12,000 vessels. Their forming attack formations on all sides were completely surrounded." Hyunwoo smiled, which surprised his crew. They were outnumbered 100 to 1, facing the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history, and their admiral was smiling. "Signal all Prometheus units," he said calmly. "Authorization code Omega. Release the final protocol." Lieutenant Jamin looked up from his communications console. "Sir, are you sure? Once we activate the Leviathan units, there's no going back. The galaxy will never be the same." "The galaxy already changed the moment they decided to threaten humanity's children," Hyunwoo replied. "Execute the order." What happened next would be recorded in the histories of 1,000 species. The very fabric of space around Fort Prometheus seemed to come alive as the largest war machines humanity had ever constructed revealed themselves. These weren't ships or mechs or any category of weapon that galactic military science recognized. They were mobile battle stations the size of small moons, each one containing entire manufacturing complexes, AI cores with processing power that rivaled young stars, and weapon systems that could crack planets like eggs. Major Seok Jin felt the neural connection establish as he merged his consciousness with Leviathan Alpha. The machine was so vast that it had its own weather systems inside its armored hull. Its weapons were cities of destruction. Its shields could stop the explosion of a supernova. "All Leviathan units, this is Major Seok Jin," he announced across the command network. "Today we teach the galaxy why you never threaten a human's home." Commander Aicha, linked to Leviathan Beta, responded immediately. "Understood, Major. Enemy forces are moving into attack position. Vorthak crystal ships are charging their planet-killer weapons." The alien fleet commanders had planned their assault carefully. The Vorthak would use their energy manipulation abilities to crack Fort Prometheus's defenses. The Kalani would phase-shift their entire fleet to attack from multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Raktos would follow up with overwhelming firepower to finish whatever survived. It was a perfect plan that took into account everything they knew about human technology. The only problem was that they knew almost nothing about what humans had actually built. High Admiral Krextal of the Vorthak Empire watched from his command crystal as his ships prepared to unleash the most powerful energy cascade in their species, history. The combined might of 100 crystal dreadnoughts would focus pure stellar energy into a beam that could punch through the core of a planet. "All ships, prepare to fire on my command," he ordered. Dr. Hai Jin, now serving as Chief War Machine Coordinator, watched the enemy preparations from her mobile command center. After 30 years of building humanity's secret weapons, she was about to see her greatest creations tested against the combined might of galactic civilization. "Energy cascade detected," reported her aide. "The Vorthak are preparing to fire, their main weapon." "Let them," Hyejin replied calmly. "Our children are hungry." The Vorthak energy cascade erupted across space like the birth of a new star. Pure energy, hot enough to melt neutronium and bright enough to blind sensors from 3 systems away, struck the human defensive line with the force of a solar flare. The aliens expected to see Fort Prometheus vaporized, along with any human ships foolish enough to remain in the area. Instead, they watched in growing horror as the energy simply disappeared. The human war machines had absorbed it all. "Impossible," whispered Krextal, his crystalline form flickering with disbelief. Major Seok Jin's voice echoed across all frequencies, speaking in perfect Vorthak. "Thank you for the energy donation. Now let us show you what we can do with it." Leviathan Alpha's main weapon began to glow. But this wasn't the harsh light of the Vorthak cascade. This was something deeper, darker, more terrible. The humans had taken the aliens' energy attack, compressed it, refined it, and turned it into something far worse. When Leviathan Alpha fired, the beam didn't just destroy the lead Vorthak dreadnought. It erased it from existence so completely that the universe forgot it had ever been there. The Kalani fleet tried their dimensional phase shift attack, slipping between realities to strike from angles that shouldn't exist. But human sensors tracked them across 11 dimensions, and human weapons fired through spaces that had no names in any language. Commander HFY piloted Leviathan Beta through the chaos with impossible grace for something so massive. Enemy. Ships that could devastate planets bounced off its shields like raindrops. Its defensive systems shot down entire missile swarms with contemptuous ease. "This is Leviathan Beta to all enemy forces," she announced. "You are fighting machines that were designed by beings who consider war to be the highest form of art. Surrender now or be destroyed." The Rakdos fleet, true to their warrior nature, refused to retreat. General Thokmor led his personal squadron in a desperate charge against the nearest human war machine. His ships were some of the most advanced in the galaxy, armed with weapons that could shatter moons and protected by shields that could stop black holes. They lasted 18 seconds. Admiral Hyunwoo watched the battle displays with quiet satisfaction. The enemy fleet was disintegrating under the assault of humanity's war machines. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for centuries were being swatted aside like insects. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Jamin, "we're receiving surrender signals from the surviving enemy commanders. They're requesting mercy." "Tell them they'll receive the same mercy they offered our colonies," Hyunwoo replied. "None." But even as he spoke, he knew the real battle was already over. The combined fleets of 3 galactic empires lay broken in the void around Fort Prometheus. Thousands of the most advanced warships ever built had been reduced to glowing debris in less than an hour. Captain So Young studied the tactical displays with professional interest. "Sir, the Ripper swarms are already moving to salvage the wreckage. They'll have enough raw materials to double our fleet size again." Dr. Hai Jin allowed herself a moment of pride as she watched her creations work. The war machines weren't just following their programming anymore. They were creating new tactics in real time, sharing information across quantum networks, becoming a single vast intelligence dedicated to the protection of humanity. "Ma'am," her aide reported, "we're detecting retreat orders from all surviving alien forces. They're abandoning the battlefield." "Let them go," she replied. "They'll carry word of what happened here to every corner of the galaxy. Soon, everyone will know that humanity is not to be threatened." The few surviving alien ships limped away from the battlefield, their crews traumatized by what they had witnessed. They had come expecting to fight humans. Instead, they had faced something that transcended the normal rules of warfare. High Admiral Krextal, his crystal form cracked and dim, broadcast a message on all frequencies. "To all galactic forces, this is High Admiral Krextal of the Vorthak Empire. Do not engage human forces. Repeat, do not engage human forces. They possess weapons that exceed our understanding." The message was unnecessary. Word of humanity's victory was already spreading faster than light itself, carried by traders, diplomats, and the few military survivors who had escaped the slaughter. Across the galaxy, alien leaders looked at star maps with new eyes. The humans were no longer a minor species to be controlled and contained. They had become the dominant military power in known space, protected by machines that made the gods themselves seem weak. The age of human submission was over. The age of human dominance had begun. 6 months after the Battle of the Seven Suns, the galaxy had learned to live with a new reality. The war was over not because anyone had surrendered, but because everyone understood that fighting humanity meant extinction. Ambassador Hanul sat in the negotiation chamber aboard the war machine called Peacekeeper, a city-sized construct that served as humanity's new mobile capital. Through the transparent armor walls that could withstand stellar bombardment, the surviving leaders of the galactic powers could see the mechanical horizon stretching to the artificial sky. The chamber itself was a masterpiece of intimidation, disguised as diplomacy. Everything was built to human scale, forcing the taller alien representatives to awkwardly bend or crouch. The message was clear. This was humanity's house now, and everyone else would follow human rules. "Gentlemen," Hanul began, her voice, carrying easily through the vast space. Thank you for accepting our invitation to discuss the new galactic order. High Arbiter Veltar of the Vorthak sat in a specially designed chair that accommodated his crystalline form. His once bright inner light had dimmed to barely a glow since the defeat of his empire's greatest fleet. Ambassador, we come seeking terms for peace. Peace? Haniul smiled, though there was no warmth in it. There is peace. Look around you. No one is shooting at each other. Your fleets have withdrawn to defensive positions. Our war machines patrol the trade routes, ensuring safe passage for all vessels. What more do you want? Fleet Admiral Kethros of the Kalani Consortium made the steam whistle sound that indicated distress among his species. With respect, Ambassador, your war machines control half the galaxy's shipping lanes. Our merchants must ask permission from human commanders to travel routes they have used for centuries. And they receive that permission, don't they? Haniul replied. As long as they follow standard safety protocols and pay the modest security fees. Our patrol units provide escort services through dangerous sectors. Your merchants have never been safer. General Moxtar of the Rakdos Empire shifted uncomfortably in his chair. His red scales had turned pale gray since witnessing the destruction of their combined fleets. The security fees you mention amount to tribute. You're forcing the entire galaxy to pay for the privilege of conducting business. Haniul stood and walked to the enormous window that showed the mechanical landscape of Peacekeeper's interior. In the distance, construction drones moved like metal ants, building new facilities and expanding the war machine's capabilities. For 3 centuries, she said without turning around, humanity tried to find its place in the galaxy through diplomacy. We followed your rules, accepted your limitations, and asked politely for the rights that should have been ours by nature. Do you remember what answer we received? The alien representatives remained silent. You taught us that in this galaxy, respect comes only through strength, Haniul continued. So we built strength. More strength than you can imagine. More than you ever dreamed possible. She turned back to face them, her expression calm but implacable. Now you sit in my chamber aboard my war machine protected by my shields, and complain that we charge fees for services you could never provide yourselves. Do you find this ironic? General Yunji entered the chamber, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Behind her walked Admiral So Young, now promoted to commander of the home fleet, and several other high-ranking human officers. Ambassador, General Yunji reported, the new patrol schedules are ready for your approval. Our war machines will maintain security in all major trade routes while the construction fleets establish permanent stations in key systems. Veltar's crystalline form flickered with what might have been fear. Permanent stations? You're planning to occupy our space indefinitely? Gentlemen, Haniul said, returning to her seat. Let me be perfectly clear about the new situation. Humanity is not conquering anyone. We're simply existing as we choose to exist, with the tools necessary to ensure our security. She activated a holographic display that showed the current positions of human forces throughout the galaxy. The aliens stared in shock at the scope of humanity's military presence. These red dots represent our Titan-class war machines, Haniul explained. Each one is capable of defeating a traditional battle fleet. We currently have 8,000 of them deployed across the galaxy. Kethros made a sound like escaping gas. 8,000? Our intelligence estimated you had perhaps a few dozen such units. Your intelligence was wrong about many things, Admiral So Young said coldly. The blue dots represent our Leviathan-class mobile battle stations. We have 300 of them, each one capable of independently manufacturing its own support fleets. Moxtar studied the display with growing horror. By the ancient codes, you could conquer the entire galaxy in a matter of months. We could, Haniul agreed, but conquest is expensive and messy. It's much more efficient to simply exist peacefully while maintaining the capability to destroy anyone who threatens us. Dr. He-Jin, now elderly but still sharp, entered the chamber carrying a datapad. Her hair was completely gray, but her eyes still burned with the intelligence that had created humanity's greatest weapons. The latest production reports, she said, handing the pad to Haniul. Our manufacturing facilities are operating at full capacity. We're completing a new Titan-class unit every 3 days. The alien representatives looked at each other with expressions of despair. Humanity wasn't just maintaining their current force levels. They were expanding, growing stronger with each passing day. "What do you want from us?" Veltar asked quietly. Hanaul smiled, and this time there was genuine warmth in it. "We want what we've always wanted, the right to exist in peace, to explore the galaxy, to build colonies where we choose, and to trade freely with all species. The only difference is that now we have the strength to guarantee these rights ourselves." She stood again and walked to a different section of the window, where the alien delegates could see human construction crews working alongside massive robotic systems. "Look out there," she said. "Those are human engineers working with our war, machines to build better homes, better ships, better lives for our people. We're not just warriors. We're builders, dreamers, explorers. But we learned that dreams mean nothing if you can't protect them." Captain Su-Jin, still commanding her converted merchant vessel, appeared on the communication screen. "Ambassador, this is the trading convoy from Kepler Station. All merchant vessels are reporting safe passage through the former Raktos patrol zone. Our escort units have encountered no hostile activity." "Thank you, Captain," Hanaul replied. "Continue your mission." She turned back to the alien representatives. "Your merchants travel safely because our war machines ensure they do. Your colonies sleep peacefully because our patrol fleets watch the borders. Your governments function because we allow them to function." The truth of her words hung in the air like a heavy weight. The galactic order that had existed for millennia was gone, replaced by something new and terrifying and strangely peaceful. "So," Hanaul concluded, settling back into her chair, "shall we discuss the details of our new arrangement? Or would you prefer to return to your homeworlds and explain to your people why you chose conflict over cooperation?" Admiral Hyun-woo, now Supreme Commander of Human Forces, made his final log entry of the war. "The galaxy came to us demanding submission. We responded with strength beyond their comprehension. They threatened our children, so we showed them what it means to face humanity's protective fury. Our war machines no longer tremble the stars. They have become part of them, eternal guardians watching from the dark between worlds. We came to space seeking friends, and found the need to become gods. But we remain human, with human hearts, human dreams, and human determination, to never again kneel before those who mistake our patience for weakness." The stars sang now with a mechanical harmony, a lullaby of power that promised eternal peace through the simple understanding that humanity's children of steel and energy would always be watching. The age of human dominance had not come through conquest, but through the undeniable demonstration that some prices were too high for any rational being to pay. And in the deep places where humanity's war machines rested between patrols, new constructions continued, ensuring that peace would never again depend on the mercy of strangers.